Today on the Wood-Mizer Tips and Tricks, we are going to check the alignment of the blade guide arm. And basically what we want to do is make sure the blade guide arm runs parallel with the blade. So the first thing I did was removed blade guide rollers and the wear blocks for the high performance blade guide system, and then I tilted the whole assembly to make sure that the Wood-Mizer was not touching the blade. This is a brand new blade I put on, and it's tensioned and I folded it around a little bit. And this is something you fossil fuel guys can't do. So anyway, what I did was I rolled a mill ahead and checked the alignment of the blade, and I leveled the blade with the bed rails. Right there. And then I ran the blade guide arm in to full in, and then you back it out ½ inch or whatever, and you take a measurement from the bottom of the bottom of the mount right here to the bed rail, and then you'll back your arm out all the way, and then you bring it in ½ inch and you measure again, and the number across should be the same. So we leveled the blade and then we leveled the arm, and so that makes sure the arm is running parallel to the blade. When we reassemble this, what we want to do is make sure we still have ½ inch of deflection in our blade when we reassemble, and then we'll tilt the head so this side of the blade is higher by ½ of an inch than this side. We've done all our alignment checks so far, and we're ready to start assembly of the blade guide rollers and our wear blocks. And what we like to do is apply a little blue creeper to all our threaded components, and what that does is protects it from seizing. Whoops. Let's take a look at our progress. And we have our deflection set at ½ inch. And basically what the deflection is we're using blade guide rollers to push down on the blade. So you have an artificial deflection in the blade. And that way the blade guide rollers control the band. And what we did was, you can loosen up these lock nuts right here, and then there's an adjuster, and this will take this block assembly and move it up and down. While you're going up and down, it does affect the tilt of the blade, so we're checking the tilt as we go. So you basically adjust the pitch of the blade guide roller so this is level, and you're measuring from the tool down to a 4-foot level that you span 2 bed rails with. So basically you're setting, well, let's pretend it's 12 inches. You want to measure 12 here and then 12 over here. And that way your blade guide roller is level, and then from there then you can make this block assembly go up and down. Now when these lock nuts are loose, it does affect the tilt of the blade. So every time you want to check for your height from here to the bed rail, you need to lock these nuts down. But it's not a tough process, you just got to do it. And then do the same thing on this side. The next step is to check the horizontal alignment of the blade guide roller. And first off, we have to check to make sure that we have an 1/8 of an inch in between the drive wheel and the bottom of the gullet, just right here. And this goes for the driven side. This is the drive side and also the driven side. So that's how that'd be on the blade alignment. Next would be the alignment with the blade to the back flange. On the driven side, you want to have a 1/16 of an inch gap. And we'll see if we can even check that. Well, not really. There it is. In between the back of the band and the flange, you need a 1/16 of an inch on the drive side and an 1/8 of an inch. We'll see if we can get this. There it is, 1/8 inch on the driven side. Once you have those two set, then you can take your blade alignment tool, whoops, and you press it flat against the face of the roller, and you make sure, whoops, having a little troubles here. There you go. And you want to have a little bit of a tilt, about an 1/8 inch tilt of the blade guide roller, so that when the band moves back during the cut, it contacts the flange on the upward stroke of the wheel. So basically you want to touch this side as it comes up, and that holds the blade in place. If you touch the downward stroke, then it would pull the blade down against your wear blocks, and that's not what you want. Earlier in this video, I made reference to spinning the driven side wheel by hand, which the fossil fuel guys can't do, but the electric guys can. One thing you need to be aware of, and you notice I'm just pulling down right here on the outside spoke, is you do not want to run your fingers around to the up sweep side, because right here, which is about a quarter, well, I have small fingers, about a 1/4 inch away, this is the piston part of the blade tensioner. And if you have your fingers here, when the blade is coming up, or the wheel is coming up, it will shear your fingers right off. Guarantee it. So, if you attempt to perform this maneuver, pull down, do not lift up. I need to make a clarification on a word I used, and it was in reference to the distance in between the bottom of the gullet and the face of the wheel, and this in and out movement is considered tracking. So I misused a word, and that's why some YouTubers use the word dewey, you know, like this dewey right here. It does something, so it's a dewey. And then there's this dewey and this dewey. But we're going to use corrective verbiage. So tracking, feeler gauge, box and wrench. Get it? Now that we have our terminology correct, we're going to talk about the guide blocks and the clearance for our guide blocks. Wood-Mizer provides this fancy little shim, and what we're looking for is 8 to 10 thousandths gap in between the guide block and the bottom of the blade, which we have set, and you do that for the driven side also. We're down to the last few steps in the alignment, and basically this step involves the tilt of the head. So what we want to do is measure from the tooth that hangs down, which is this one right here. You'll measure from the bottom of that tooth down to the bed rail, and you want that to be 12 inches. Then on this side, from the tooth that hangs down, which, that one right there, down the bed rail, needs to be 12 inches and a 1/16. And that is accomplished by some special bolts underneath the head, right there. Basically, you turn these, you'll loosen this nut and tighten this nut, and it drives this plate inward, which lifts the outside of the head up. And basically, if you go from that point and roll 2 more points, so you're turning, I don't know, I counted points. 2 points will raise the outside of the head and a 1/16 of an inch. And then your final step would be to calibrate the head to 12. Simple enough. Calibration, head calibrate, set at 12, save, and you gotta save it again. So now, just that quick, the head is set at 12.